of the silence, the sugar-coated lies. Another headline screaming behind vacant eyes. They build up their walls so high and so strong, but the truth's gonna break through before too long. Every single day, the same damn old game, pointing all the fingers, nobody takes the blame. This pressure's building, it's starting to crack. Ain't no turning back now, ain't no holding back. I'm about to say it, yeah, I'm about to scream. Tired of the fake smiles, living in a dream. The real life's bleeding out in the cold. Gotta break the mold, gotta let it unfold. I'm about to say it, every single word. The uncomfortable truth finally gonna be heard. I'm gonna say it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this evening edition of hashtag I'm gonna say it. Just something really quick I wanted to cover or talk about um, together, you know. And to me, I, he would be. You could take him and Pac and it'd be 1 and 2, right? Either way you put it, it'd be 1 and 2, right? But regardless of who you put first or whatnot, both of them. I think we can agree that both of them is head, shoulder, knees, and toes above all the rest of the rappers. I think that's something we can agree on. But while we are talking, this is what I want to talk about because Tisa Tales, shout out to Tisa Tales, by the way. She does great. Big Tiff, thank you for that heart me. I appreciate that, best. Appreciate that, sister. My sister. Tisa did this piece, and it says, final warning, how Biggie's mom exposed Diddy's lies and greed. Industry silenced her. Deep dive. I'm gonna be honest with you. Miss Wallace isn't my mother, but Miss Wallace felt like she was a mother to all of the people who enjoy her son's music. And I just think with the okay, I'm a certain things I would share on Instagram about her son. Like be it when we went to visit his childhood home when we went to New York summer before last. It's just different things. Picture of the painting that was in the hallway of the Airbnb that we bought when we went up to visit, and it was a picture of him. And I would tag her in it, and she would accept them and put them on her page. And I just thought that was like so neat. She didn't think that she was bigger, knowing whose mom she is. She never thought that she was larger than life or bigger than anything or better than nobody. She's like continuously stayed humble. But the biggest thing that bothered me is that I felt like she passed away not ever getting the justice she deserved for the unaliving of her son. And that bothers me. Even to this day, it bothers me. Given that I've lost a son and I know where the incident happened, but when we went to go look at the video of my son's unaliving, he was hit by a train. Um, in Kennesaw, Georgia, did everything they could to keep us from seeing the video. They wouldn't let us see it, and they kept saying, well, just you. I don't want you to see your son in that way. I want you to remember him as you know him and stuff like that. And I felt like it wasn't something wasn't right, and I already knew that them, along with Cobb County Police Department, didn't really like my son in the town of Kennesaw. So I can honestly say I feel like I justice. The only difference is she passed away. She passed away not ever getting that justice. So when I saw this, it made me gravitate to it. I wanted to hear what she was saying because even after he passed away, some people who were supposed to be friends of her sons and supposed to be uh, his business partners or take care of his affairs and supposed to have his best interest at heart, and if they was any kind of friend, And so I want to listen to see what all she had possibly said or how she exposed Diddy's lies and greed and stuff like that. I understand about the Simply Kim. How you doing? Welcome in, Bestie. I know we've heard about her approaching Diddy while they was out while he was out at a dinner or something with Kim Porter allegedly or whatnot and things like that, and she was asking him about it, and he made the comment that her son owes him more money than he made him. You know, just whatever, being disrespectful, and I can buy that because Big Gene Deal already told us that he was disrespectful to Wolf's mom after Wolf passed away, and we've also heard from Big Gene Deal that Diddy himself has been rude to his own mother. So I can buy that when it's being said. So, but let's just go ahead and listen and see what it is that Tisa Tell is covering and what possibly Big's mom, um, how she possibly exposed Diddy's lies and greed.
And ugly as ever.
There was Chris, which eventually became Big, which eventually becomes Biggie. There's a big difference between Christopher Wallace and Notorious B.I.G.
You know, after the Netflix documentary Sean Combs: The Reckoning, we saw something we never thought we'd see. The men
Simply
in
Kim,
the
thank you for
reporters that had covered the whole saga of the early 90s and 2000s
we got
hip-hop
50
drama.
footballs on as the gifting goal, y'all.
Well, they rushed to defend Diddy. Or as they were saying, we're not defending Diddy, but that documentary, it's all lies. Biggie and Diddy were brothers. They said, we sat there, we talked to them. They said there was nothing dark, nothing unequal, nothing wrong about that relationship. And everyone just nodded along. Because it kind of made sense until you hear what Biggie's mother wrote. And what she wrote does not match what these men have been selling.
Niece, where you been,
Not even
girl?
close.
How you doing?
See, Biggie's
Been
mom
missing
was
you in
there
the
before
morning.
the money. She was there before, during, and after the conflict. She was there when the story didn't feel right. And she was there when the explanations, especially about Biggie's death, stopped making sense.
Our bookstore is like a portal.
It's neo-Victorian, it's steampunk.
As a commercial, we'll let that go through. And while we're waiting for this commercial, back up to the backup account, please. And that's Magger Trapper. Magger. Trapper. Magger Trapper. Go and follow the backup to the backup account, please. And thank you. Keep in mind, we've got the football as a gifting goal. We got 50 on there, so we need 46 more. We need 46 more of the footballs. Keep double tapping the screen. Share out the live.
Biggie's mom. She describes a relationship she didn't trust, the arguments she lost, the things that never added up, and a line so cold it makes you rethink the entire myth. This is not the story that gets told on podcasts. This is a story that got buried.
Simply
once you
Simply Kim,
hear
thank you for those footballs.
the truth,
I
according
appreciate
to
it.
Valletta Wallace, you start to see who benefits from keeping the other version alive. To understand what happened and why Biggie's mom felt the way she did, you have to know the history, which she went in detail. But you know what? The one thing she wanted us to focus on was the track. Christopher Wallace became Biggie Smalls before the legend, before the crown. Well, he was just a 19-year-old kid who wanted to make it out. He wanted to take care of his
Nothing wrong
mother
with that.
and finally feel safe. And that's exactly when Sean Combs showed up. Not with a contract, not with protection, and not with ownership, but with a check for $25,000 and a promise. And according to Valletta Wallace,
Miss Wallace and Afeni Shakur standing next to each other, man. That picture right there, I can't even tell. You know how I always say, well, if you come in my broadcast, you hear me say it pretty often. You got to see the picture within the picture. And this picture within this picture or within this video is, man, that is our culture. That is what birthed our culture. Two of the greatest rappers of all time. And you got their mothers standing side by side on stage. I mean, that's just deep right there. That's man. I would like to get that picture frame right there.
In fact, in her memoir, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and a mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. Did you catch that? And then she explains why that worked. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then, as a 19-year-old. He had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty. Now listen to that phrase again. Enough to buy a blind love and a loyalty. That is not a business
Carol,
deal,
welcome in
and
the
it's not
hashtag,
a
I'm gonna say
mentorship.
it.
That is a psychological hook. That is the moment, the trap that Diddy is very famous for. That's the moment the trap closed. Because, in my opinion, what she described in her memoir, it wasn't generosity. This is how power recruits loyalty. I mean, think about it. You give someone just enough to change their self-image, but never enough to give them autonomy. You don't make them rich. You make them feel like they're standing next to richness. You don't give them control. You give them proximity. And once someone confuses proximity with power, well, baby, they will defend the
Memphis
system
Bleak,
that's
Jay-Z, and
draining
Diddy
them
in
because
that
it feels like their
picture.
only way forward. Now, the thing was, Biggie's mom was a school teacher. She knew systems. And when she saw this trap setting, she tried to intervene because she saw it early. She wrote, I used to tell Christopher all the time not to trust Sean, but he wouldn't hear any of it. You hear that?
That's a mother's
Biggie's
intuition
mom
right
didn't
there.
trust Diddy. She didn't like the arrangement. She didn't like the dynamic. And she didn't stay quiet about it. She even went on to say, I told Christopher that he needed to become more knowledgeable about the business side of his career. She was trying to protect her only son. She was trying to arm him with information. She was trying to get him leverage. But here's the part that breaks your heart. In her own words, but Christopher, with his extremely loyal self, couldn't take me talking about Sean, even when I had my son's best interest at heart. So they fight, not because she's controlling, not because she's jealous, and not because she doesn't understand the industry. They fight because she sees the trap and he's already inside it. And when you're inside something that gives you identity, status, and hope, anyone who threatens that feels like the enemy, even if they love you.
I think we as parents can feel where she's coming from on that. You think, you have kids that sometimes they may have good for them. You don't think that particular friend is good for them, and then when you try to tell them, the kids your kid get upset at you when in actuality you're just looking out for them. So I can, and then you feel helpless when you see them going down that road of getting in trouble with that person, and then they choosing a person over you. So it's like, man, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Simply Kim said, definitely only if they listen. Right? If that's all you want from them. If it's just to listen, just to trust that you are looking out for their best interest. You're not trying to dictate their lives or run their lives or anything like that. And I think a lot of kids think that. They think, well, you're trying to control their lives, not really fully understanding that they really couldn't do nothing without you anyway. You get me? Like it's not you're taking care of them, you providing for them. So, but then when you're trying to give them this real go with the person you telling them to look out for and not to hang out with. You get me? So I can understand. I can feel where she's coming from on that. When you we call it like what your child is doing is not going to turn out good for them in any way, and they just will not listen. But yet you see it getting worse.
This is the cruelest part of that psychological capture. The person exploiting you never has to silence your protectors because you do it for them. You defend the system that's draining you because it's the same system that made you feel chosen. So when Biggie's mom warns him about Diddy, he doesn't hear her concern. He hears threat. Threat to his dream. Threat to his identity. Threat to the only path he thinks he has. So that's what grooming looks like when it's done through money, status, and the illusion instead of force.
They stop.
That's that manipulation. And you know, he's not the only one Diddy did it to. Manipulated that way. Controlled.
Valletta understood exactly what kind of boy her son was. In fact, she goes on record as saying, to this day, Christopher is one of the most loyal human beings. But he learned the hard way that this was not always the case. Read that again. He learned the hard way that this was not always the case. That line is doing a lot of work because loyalty in a healthy relationship is mutual. But loyalty inside a power imbalance, baby, that's not loyalty. It's obedience disguised as virtue. And Christopher was loyal.
Hey,
and
Sharita,
Diddy
welcome
benefited
in,
from loyalty.
How you doing?
But those are not the same thing. It was definitely not the same to Valletta, who saw her son become
Sandra,
famous.
welcome in. Nay, welcome in.
But she also saw him becoming less protected,
Jockey,
less
welcome in.
informed, less independent, more
MacArthur, I see
emotionally
you.
invested in someone who held all the
What
leverage.
up, Phil?
And by the time she fully understood what kind of system he was inside, it was already trying to
I be
become.
worrying about you.
That's the tragedy.
I be thinking about
Not
you.
that Biggie trusted Diddy, but that Diddy was someone who benefited from being trusted. You know what the biggest tragedy of this is? At first, Biggie believed in the system. He believed if he stayed grateful, well, baby, it would eventually turn into real security. But according to his mom, something changed. Not dramatically. She writes, it was just one thing about the business
Hey,
that
keeping your
disturbed
faith in the
my
Lord, right,
spirit.
Bessie?
That line matters because it tells you this wasn't one incident. It wasn't one argument. It wasn't one betrayal. It was a pattern, a slow accumulation of discomfort, a slow realization that the story being sold didn't match the reality being lived. There was the lie of the lifestyle. Now, around this time, Biggie's mom starts noticing how the industry sells fantasy, not just to fans, but to artists themselves. She says, the lives that these artists portrayed were lies for many of them. And these lies trickled down to the inner city, making young people aspire to live a life they saw in these so-called.
They glorify having women and having multiple women at one time. Yeah, she is a great storyteller. I agree with you on that, Bestie. The jewelry, the cars, the houses, you know, they glorify that. But all the while, it's actually a trap. It's a trap for the jits to go out there and actually try to do those things, to duplicate what they see their favorite rapper doing and end up getting in trouble. But the powers that be never tell them that story. They'll never sell them that story. They'll never let them see that story because it's almost, like I said before, I say it again, y'all. The jail is nothing but a modern day slave ship. And so the more people that they can get locked up in there, feeding them this stuff right here that is not good for them. That you won't hear them say try to strive to be a doctor, try to strive to own a business, be an architect or any architecture or architecture or anything like that. You'll just this fancy cars, selling D rugs and stuff like that. But they don't never tell you, hey, when you get caught with a large quantity of D rugs, you're gonna have to go do some time and sit down and be away from your family. It's gonna take you away from your. They don't tell nothing like that.
$1 million homes. But then she delivers the real point. But these were all lies. They set these young people up to chase a big fat lie, and the select few who did have the things paid a price to get there. That's the illusion trap again.
I love it,
Not everyone
Sharita.
gets rich,
That's it,
but
Bessie.
everyone
Crabs
is
in a
made to
bucket.
perform riches. Biggie was made to perform richness, and the performance is expensive, emotionally, psychologically, and sometimes physically. Because this is where the story stops being about one man and becomes about a system. It keeps people running. It keeps them compliant. It keeps them quiet. Think about it. If you admit the fantasy is fake, if Biggie admitted that the fantasy was fake, that Diddy was just taking, that everything he was wearing was rented by a
We got
stylist and had to be
footballs on
turned
the
back
clock.
in,
We need 37
you
more.
risk
We got
losing your
7 minutes
place
to
in
get
it.
that in. Help us if
So
you can. Help us
people
get.
They kept pretending. They keep chasing. They keep performing success for an audience while privately feeling trapped. That's not empowerment.
Thank you for the
That's theater.
football.
And
I appreciate
theater is
that,
controlled
Bestie.
by whoever owns the stage. And you know what?
Welcome in,
According to his
Dimples.
mom, Biggie began to sense the cost. Biggie's mom described Christopher's death brought a lot of revelations. It changed me a lot in the way I viewed the world around me. But before his death,
Good
there were
evening,
already
Danielle.
signs. She says, I
Thank you
didn't
for
know
those
then,
footballs. I
and never
appreciate
in my
that, Simply
wildest dreams could I have
Kim.
imagined that I would one day know and understand
I appreciate
firsthand,
that.
the hell he was talking
Good looking
about.
out.
Meaning he had been trying to tell her something about the business, about the streets, about the danger, and she didn't fully
How are you doing,
understand it until
Danielle?
he was gone.
Welcome to hashtag I'm gonna say it.
See, here's the emotional bind. Biggie was loyal. He was grateful. He was hopeful. But it's something he can't control, can't fully understand, and can't leave without losing everything he's worked for. And that's the bind.
What you talking
Stay
about, Bessie?
inside and be drained, or step outside and be erased. That's not a choice. That's a trap with two exits that both hurt.
So get this. Just listening to her say that, and if because she was sending. Y'all are funny. I love y'all. Maybe just hearing that, I get a sense of him feeling like he knew he was his soul was his spirit and soul was unsettled, like he knew something was gonna happen. Thank y'all for helping us hit that goal, closing out that goal. I appreciate it. I honestly think that. I never knew that he was talking to his mom. This is my first time hearing that. Oh, I did. I did. Okay, brother, I got you. I promise you. After this, I will. It slipped my mind, and I don't even know how. When I need to see if you can do this. Okay, well let me tell you right here. If you got a moment, you know the character you made for me just by myself, the first one. Are you able to create that again, or can you change the color of my attire to purple? I think I had the black, white, and gray camos on first. Can you change it to like a purple, white, and gray, or purple, white, and black, or something? Are you able to do that? I don't have the game, brother, so I'm not sure on how to do it. And if so, if you can do that, are you able to change the gangster match? But I was wondering if I wondered now hearing that, I wonder if he was already feeling unsettled when it came to the diddler. I wonder if he already felt like, hey, Something ain't right. Atlanta Got Talent. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome to hashtag I'm gonna say it.
Because Biggie had
Little
admitted
brother,
to his
welcome
own
in. How
mom
you doing this
that the
evening?
business is dirty
Y'all got that
and
snow on.
dangerous. But make no mistake, the illusion is cracking, but the structure still holds. And then comes the night when the structure doesn't just harm, it killed. They don't think that Diddy had anything to do with Biggie's death. I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to let you hear truth according to the woman that made Biggie, both figuratively and literally. Valletta Wallace, Biggie's mother. Listen to what she
Some
says
people was,
about that night.
posted
Listen to
videos
what
saying
she
they was in
says
Columbus
about the
and,
way
they had
Diddy
snow.
reacted. And listen to the way she thinks none of it makes sense.
But you know what? That might have been Columbus, Ohio.
And when she
it
arrived,
said Columbus,
grieving,
Georgia.
frantic, asking how this happened to her son, fresh off a flight straight from New York, refusing to eat or drink anything, wondering what had happened to her son, she said that she got a report.
This week, we're hosting a free...
Hold on, it's another commercial. But that's what, look, so now, Pink Tech, how's it going? How you doing? Are you out of that cold weather now? Are you warm? You at home? So again, y'all, listen, we're hearing his mom talk, and I agree with Tisa. As I was stating earlier, I think it was on yesterday's show that I done. When it comes to Pac being unalive, when I talked to his father over on Facebook, and his father says he believed, or no, the way he didn't say he believed, he said Suge had something to do with it. I take his word for it. That's it. Pac is his son. So they've had conversations that no magazine knows about, no TV show, no interviewer or anything like that. No, so or know about. So when he says, "Hey, Suge got something to do with it," and of course he had some more names to call Suge. None of them included the child of God. That was he never called him that. But I believe him over anything else. I believe Mr. Garland.
She said, according to the reports and the eyewitnesses, Puffy's was their security SUV. Now, she was very precise here.
Thank you for the roses.
Think about it.
I
She said
appreciate
the
that,
front
Pink
car was
Tech.
Puffy, the middle car was Biggie,
Oh, did you
and
say
the
you
rear
made it
car
home?
was security. She goes on language. That's operational language. To watch out, to protect, to observe. That's an assignment. And then for some reason,
All right,
no one in the
thankful you made
security
it
vehicle
safely.
saw a car pull up next to the SUV that Christopher was riding in and open fire. Let that sit.
How long you coming back on
pulls
Friday?
alongside. A shooting occurs, and the car specifically assigned to protect him sees nothing. Oh, but she wasn't done. She wrote in her memoir, not only could these security people, who might have been off-duty Los Angeles police officers, not identify the shooters,
Please
they
be
couldn't
careful.
even identify the vehicle. Not by Bad Boy Entertainment.
I'm ready for you to come back there.
She
I like
thinks
it.
that
I
they were
like it when
off-duty
you
Los
you
Angeles
at
police
home.
officers. Let's not forget that Diddy was known for hiring off-duty police officers.
And plus,
And
that's
again,
not too far from my house.
they didn't get a
You're
look at the
close to
people.
house.
They couldn't identify the car, and they didn't even get a license plate. Nothing. And
Thank you
then
for the
to add insult
roses.
to injury,
Last
we
week
are
you going out
all
there.
asking. And why didn't professional instincts lead them to pursue the culprit or even get a license plate number? Now, that's not an accusation. That's a procedural question. That's someone who understands what police training looks like and is noticing that it didn't appear right at the moment when you needed it the most.
I've been there, y'all. I'm telling you.
This is the line
I'm telling y'all. There's
that
no way.
changes everything
Listen,
emotionally.
I don't care what nobody say. There's no way that you could have all of those emergency response team members, LAPD right there, and nobody saves Notorious B.I.G. I've been there. You hear me? I've been. My bad. That went away. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Hold on. My bad, love. Let me get that up there. There's just no way that they couldn't have um, made it there in time. Like if they was located where they supposedly was located at, then they definitely should have been able to get to him, and that didn't happen. Thank you for that manifesting. I've never seen that before. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It leads me to believe that it was an inside thing. And again, this is just a ledge. This is just my thoughts. This is my POV. This is just my change that. You get me? Thank you for that heart, me little brother. Oh, okay. Okay. We'll do it now.
If these security
Yes, ma'am.
guards were veteran cops, why didn't they have instincts to call? And then this last sentence she wrote, it hit like a knife. Instead, they drove past Christopher's SUV and pulled up next to.
Every day, people just like you launch global brands from.
All right, we got another commercial on there.
SUV to tell him what had happened when my son was dying in the SUV behind him? Baby, this is not a theory. This is what Diddy told her happened. What the LAPD told her happened.
Because they was thank you.
She was
Thank you for the finger hearts. I appreciate that,
the
Sharita.
people whose job was to protect her son.
Thank you for the
did
finger
not
heart, Pink Tech. I
stop
appreciate
to help
that.
him. They didn't call emergency services. They didn't even pursue the shooter. They didn't even secure the scene. They pulled around the car where
Thank you,
Biggie
love.
lay shot and dying to go tell Diddy was bleeding while her son was dying.
And here's another thing, y'all. I don't know who all has been to LA before. Hey, congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate that heart me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Pink Tech. But there's a hospital that's close to it. Thank you for that pepper, Sharita. I appreciate it, bestie. Thank you for that Go Populars. I appreciate it, Pink Tech. And at a time like that, every second, not minute, every second is vital. Now, I can chalk that up to they're not from LA, so they may have not known where to go. But then if you try to use that narrative, you have to go on the is from Cali. The guy that was driving the truck is from Cali. So wouldn't he know that he was closer to that hospital? Lee said hospital signs are everywhere. Wherever there's a hospital, there is a hospital sign. And I say that. Everything about it sounds like it was a setup by the. And remember when Big's mom was saying that he started to feel some kind of way, like eerie, like something was going to happen? I wonder if that's around the time he started to figure out that Puff wasn't paying him what he was supposed to get paid or what he could possibly be getting paid. I wonder if that was the time he realized that he was worth more than that $25,000 lured him into a friendship with. Again, I've never heard this before. So to hear this now, that him and his mother had conversations like this, and then how she was trying to let it. And I told you that's a parent's intuition. And I'm gonna tell you too. His mother was Jamaican, and it's different. Sharita said because Puffy was a jealous snake. I agree with you fully on that. Thank you for those finger heart, baby. I appreciate it. Had sabotaged him going to London. Thank you for those finger hearts. I appreciate it. Okay. I know you. She said, hey, get to it. Do your job. And so we factoring all of this in, y'all. And we're hearing these words now coming from his mom. That's another thing. Like I said before with Pac's father, this is his mom saying this. I buy her word over any. She knows her baby more than any of us will ever know him. We just know him from hearing his music. But you got to think about it. She know him. That's her child. And so if she's saying he was feeling a certain kind of way, then she on him as far as not giving him the money he deserves to be paid. And then he had figured out he could make more and he was ready to go somewhere and get more money. So that's what I'm thinking right there. Thank you for the ice cream cones. I appreciate that. That's what I'm thinking. But I'm with you, Sharita. I'm with you. PJ said, good job. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Power center was. Now, if you guys want my opinion of what all this means, you guys, I don't think this was just about a failure in security protocol. I think this is about priority. Emergency response to the man who had just been shot. It was the man
Darlene,
in the
welcome
car.
in. Thank you for the
That tells
goat.
you
I appreciate it. Thank you for the
everything about who mattered
roses.
in that system and who that system was hired to protect and who that
PJ,
system
thank you for the
cared
ice
about
cream
protecting.
cones.
The craziest part was the silence after.
Sharita, thank you for those
Biggie's
lightning
mom
bolts. I
described
appreciate
what
that.
happened afterward. She said, upon questioning during the so-called investigation, not a single one of those cowards in that security vehicle came forward to tell what he saw. Did you hear that? No statements to the police, no testimony to the police, no cooperation with the police. Need to be answered.
Big put them on in the time that he needed them to be a voice. Thank you for the ice cream cones, love. I appreciate that. The time they needed him, he needed them to be a voice for him. Nobody said anything. Thank you for that corn. I appreciate that, Sharita. Nobody stood up for him. And now we all know that what was his name? Gosh, it was one of his homeboys, and he had been hanging out with D-Rock. D-Rock, he had been hanging out with Puff the whole time. He helped get Big out of the hotel room to the party the night that it happened, allegedly. You got your man's involved on it too. That's what I think. Big's supposed to be your man. If he said he didn't want to go out, you shouldn't have been in the plot to help him come out. And look what happened. Lil C's, I need Lil C's to speak up. Lil C's, we know you were supposed to be his little brother, his right-hand man. And so we need you to come clean. And that's just what it is, man. Like, this is crazy.
Let that sit
She's
there.
right, though. Nobody's saying nothing. That's suspicious.
That needed to be answered.
Leah said money.
Many people there.
The root of all evil, isn't it?
At the center. Her son dead. And the cowards he hired to protect would not tell anything that could assist in capturing who was responsible for this. And when it comes to the investigation, she doesn't mince words. She writes, the Los Angeles Police Department was doing a lot of questionable things and telling outright lies. Not confused. She's disturbed. She senses obstruction, deflection, delay. And she doesn't believe it's accidental. Interestingly
Still saying
enough,
LAPD.
Diddy's had long associations to the
accomplices
LAPD.
in this.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working.
I'm saying it. I'm saying it right now. Believe that this is another proof of or evidence that and but other things too. Even with the Kid Cudi situation, I think they purposely lost, and I air quote lost, the fingerprint evidence. That's just what I think.
And it is something on the gossip Brad story.
Salute to you.
But it was a moment that changed everything for her. Be in the beginning of an infinite number of questions that I have regarding my son's murder.
I appreciate
and the
that,
so-called
P-Tech.
investigation.
Thank you. Oh, that's a Jim gun. Thank you for that Jim gun.
No closure, no end, no resolution, just loops, questions with no answers. That is a psychological torture state. Not knowing
Agreed.
is worse than knowing something horrible. Not knowing keeps the wound open
Don,
forever.
welcome in. Welcome to hashtag I'm gonna say
I
it.
believe Sean loved my son after he was dead.
Nope.
Let that sink in.
Nope. We know that's a lie. We know he didn't love him after he was dead. How do we know that was a lie, y'all? Y'all ask me, how do I know that that's a lie? I'm gonna tell you what makes me think that that was a lie. What makes me think that was a lie is he filed against Diddy, where he filed a lawsuit against Diddy for SA, sexual. Diddy was pleasing himself. Oh, thank you for that candy bouquet. I appreciate that, Pink Tech, and the friendship necklace. Thank you. You know, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think. He said that he was pleasing himself, and when he finished, he wiped himself off with a shirt that had Big's face on it, and then threw it at Jonathan Hay. Thank you for that super go populars. I appreciate that, Pink Tech. Leah said he used his own money to pay for his own funeral. Isn't that the most diabolical thing ever? But that's supposed to be your best friend. He wants us to believe they were best friends. That's what he's selling. It's wolf tickets. Maybe I shouldn't have said wolf tickets, because possibly Justin is wolf, not his. But I appreciate that, Pink Tech. I think so. I think so. I'm gonna say I don't think he
This is a
loved it.
direct quote from Biggie's mom. Something Diddy doesn't dare go against. See, up until now, everything we've talked about happened while Biggie was alive. The money, the misplaced
Psychotic,
loyalty,
erotic,
the
welcome
fights,
in.
the warnings,
Like that
the
handle.
stress. Now we move into what happened after he was gone. And this is where Valletta Wallace says something that quietly dismantled the entire public story about Biggie and Diddy. Let me repeat it for you. She wrote on paper, ink to paper. I believe Sean loved my son after he was dead. That's not poetry. That's not metaphor. That's not bitterness.
Thank you for those friendship
That's a sentence
necklaces. I
about
appreciate it, Pink
timing.
Tech.
Now, maybe she's not implying that Diddy never cared. But what she is saying, that the
I'm
visible
saying he didn't
affection,
care.
the closeness, the grief, the public narrative of brotherhood all intensified when Biggie could no longer contradict it, when he could no longer argue, when he could no longer negotiate, when he could no longer say, that's not how it was. She was pointing out that the relationship became safer once Biggie was
Thank you for
no
the super
longer
go
alive inside
populars.
of
I
it.
appreciate that, love.
She continues in her book to describe how after Biggie's death, people, Diddy, began speaking for him. They began telling the story of who he was, what he wanted, what he would have thought, and what he would have felt. The one people were listening to. And that matters. Because Valletta Wallace remembers the version of her son who fed
I
up
don't know who the other guy is.
with the splits
I think
that
that was
Diddy
one of the
was
guys
giving
that's
him,
over his estate.
that he was receiving, the pennies. That he was like, man, this business is dirtier than the crack game. She remembers the version of him who was stressed out over being extracted from but not poured in. She remembers the version who felt uneasy all the time. She remembers the version who fought with her about trusting Diddy. And with the book,
Hey, thank you
she
for them
remembered
football
what she told.
helmets.
Of course
You
you don't.
know,
Let me explain to you.
I love
There
my
was even a
football.
part where she told where she was like, "Hey, why are you making so much money but you're receiving so little? You need to see the contracts. He's using you. You need to get this in order." And
Now then. Sharita, thank you for those TikToks. I appreciate that. Hey, Pink Tech, thank you for that microphone. I didn't even see that. Thank you for the microphone. Listen, on the plane, Now his mom is telling Big's mom is telling him, you need to see the contract. Why are you making so much money and you not getting paid the money? That solidifies that he didn't pay his artists like he was supposed to. Get this going on here. You see? So again, these are the things that are coming out in this. Shout out to Tisa Tales. There's a lot. This is stuff that I've never heard, and it's lining up.
And he was like, yo, Mom, stop talking bad about him. And they got in a huge argument, and her baby, who once trusted her more than anything,
Monique said, I remember. Oh, that was
all
fast.
I know
Hold
is
on.
this man's a millionaire, and he's going to teach
I remember
me how
when
to be a
Biggie
millionaire.
charged
And that's
others
all I
to
know.
do
I don't
rhymes
care
on
if
their
he's
albums
taken.
behind
He's
Diddy's
going
back.
to make.
Right. You are right. That bullcrap contract, he had it to where he had rights to Big's publishing. And so that's why he did that. Panda Zero, I didn't know you was in here. I appreciate that, bestie. That's Tisa Tell speaking right now. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Mr. G Smooth.
Oh, okay. Thank you for coming in and supporting. And thank you for that friendship necklace. I just seen that. Oh, okay. Got you.
Story people wanted to tell after he died. So it gets erased. People don't know the backstory. And they think they know the whole story. But never once
he messed himself up,
any people that are talking about what happened back then to read her biography. And they never bothered to use her words as a counter to the narrative that did.
Oh, it's not letting me see.
So again, it gets erased.
Thank you for the gold boxing gloves, babe. I appreciate that.
Saw that erasure happening in real time. She writes about how Diddy presented himself after Biggie's death, how he became publicly close, emotionally present, deeply associated with his legacy. But she contrasts that with how she herself experienced him. Not as warm, not as supportive, not as protective, but as someone she did
that goddess with her
not
is the one that's
trust.
over his estate.
She said Diddy made her uncomfortable. She said that he was someone that she felt had not treated her son well while he was alive. She said that Diddy was someone she did not feel had her son's best interest at heart. And she does not say this with anger. She says it with clarity. And here's where I want to pause and be very explicit about what this means. Again, this is my interpretation of what she said in that book. When someone becomes more loving, more devoted, more publicly attached to someone only after that person is gone, what that tells you is that the relationship is no longer accountable. It's no longer risky. It's symbolic now. And symbolic relationships
thank you for the
are
gold
controlled
boxing
by whoever
gloves.
controls the story. Now, while Biggie was alive, he had needs. He had stress. He had opinions. He had doubts.
So there did
he had moments of
seem to be
he had a demand for more money. So much so he wanted to leave the label.
Some people said that too.
And after he died, well, he became a legacy. And legacies are easier to manage than people. They don't argue. They don't renegotiate contracts. They don't withdraw loyalty. They don't change their mind.
Okay.
She's pointing out a power shift. While Biggie was alive,
Panda Zero, thank you for those gold boxing gloves.
After
I appreciate
he died,
it.
Power absorbed him, his memory, his legacy, his image, his story, his meaning. And Valletta, the person who knew him best, watched that happen from the outside. She watched people simplify him. She watched people sanitize the relationship that Biggie had with Diddy. She watched Diddy and his narrative flatten what had happened. And she watched the complicated boy she raised become a clean symbol.
Thank you for those
And
gold
she
boxing
didn't recognize
gloves,
that symbol
Panda
as her
Zero.
son. That's why she writes what she writes. Not to accuse. Story without me. Because you do not know this story. You cannot turn my son into a myth that benefits Bad Boy and elevates Diddy and turns him into a saint of a friend, crying and dancing like a fool on stage for another fallen soldier.
Okay, Mama Wallace is pointing out right there. Let's translate that. I'm going to translate it to y'all. I'm going to tell y'all what I'm hearing.
We're the best of friends when he did my son wrong. I'm not going to let him create that narrative.
That's what I got. That's exactly what I got. And when she's talking about that dancing around and acting like a fool, y'all remember right after Big passed away, Pink Tech, thank you for those gold boxing gloves. I appreciate that. Y'all remember right after he passed away, he goes on stage and does this little song, I'll Be Missing You. And Sting is on there. But come to find out, Diddy didn't get clearance from Sting to use that music. And so since he didn't do that, each day Sting gets paid $2,000. So even in trying to, or he didn't even get the proper clearance to do so. He didn't even get the proper clearance to do so. And on top of that, don't you think if that was really his friends, he would go up? He was business smart enough to rob his artists. Don't you think that he would say, okay, I'm clever enough, let me make sure I get all my ducks in a row, let me make sure I get all my contractual stuff in a row, and the money or the proceeds that I get from this song dedicated to him will go to his kids? Nothing like that. But that's supposed to be his right-hand man's pots and pans. Panda Zero said, music. And now every day, Sting gets $2,000. I mean, we tell me you're not friends with somebody without telling me you're not friends with them. You get me? Thank you for the lives. I appreciate that, babe. It's just, it don't make sense.
You cannot erase. No, she wouldn't allow Bad Boy to erase what actually
Little brother,
happened
he
to
sure
him.
did. He got money for that performance.
If
Exactly.
it only arrives when there is no more risk
Hey,
of
Sting
being
said, I
exposed
ain't
for what
dumb.
the
I'm gonna
true
get my
relationship
coins.
was. I believe you can't call it loyalty if you never protected him, especially what Valletta Wallace is doing, what she did in her memoir. She was not grieving. She was correcting the record. And that's why her book is so uncomfortable. And that's why many act like her book doesn't exist. Because it refuses to let anyone else own Biggie. No.
Big
I'm
Mel,
sorry,
welcome in, fam.
Christopher.
How you doing, little brother?
It refuses to let anyone else own Christopher's story.
I dare you to let me.
And what I did, why we can't have, we don't have this many commercials during the day. I don't know what's going on.
Let's talk about what this story is really about. Because up until now, everything we've heard
Tamika
has been
Gray,
specific,
welcome. Said
and a
including his
silence that
children.
followed. So now we zoom out, because this is not just a
What
story
game you
about
watching,
Biggie.
Big Mel?
It's not just a story about Diddy. It's not even just a story about the music industry. It's a story about what power looks like when it does. Sometimes it shows up as access. And when power shows up like that, people don't resist it. They trust it. They depend on it. They defend it.
Let's go, Nick.
Even when it's hurting them. That's what Valletta Wallace was. And we're questioning felt like self-destruction. And when someone lives inside that kind of structure long enough, something else happens. And then when they're gone, well, baby, the structure remains. The money still flows. The power still circulates. And the story still gets told. Because she's not telling you what to think. She's showing you what she saw. And what she saw was a young man who wanted to take care of his family, who wanted to feel safe, who wanted to become something bigger than when he come from, and who walked straight into a system built by Sean Diddy Combs that used those exact desires against him. That's not stupidity. That's not weakness. That's human. And that's exactly what power feeds on. You guys, as much as so many people have stepped out into the fray to defend Diddy, he might be horrible, but he was a great friend to Biggie. Voletta Wallace doesn't care. Her words stand where they stand. She didn't write her memoir to win an argument. She wrote it because she didn't want her son's life to be turned into a myth that erased what actually happened to him. She didn't want that story to end with fame or tragedy or even nostalgia. She wanted it to end with truth. Truth, human truth, what it felt like, what it looked like, what didn't. The only thing that still belongs to Biggie, to her son Christopher, his story, told by the person who loved him. And that's the part of the story you were never supposed to hear.
Welcome in, Howard.
What have you?
Listen, let's give it up to Tisha Tales for covering that. Y'all, what we just heard put so much context on things that we've already heard or safe, but yet and still he had to go out to LA. And he didn't want to go to LA, y'all. He wanted to go to London. He was forced by Diddy to go to LA. But his mother just told us he was already feeling unsettled. And I can't remember where I heard it from, but somebody was saying they called him up one time. I'm not sure what happened to the numbers. I don't see it no more. I don't see it. Big Mel said, I do believe Diddy was jealous. And that's how he started doing Sean John, because that's what Notorious wanted to do. He wanted to have his own clothes. Notorious B.I.G. wanted to have his own clothing line. Somebody, I forgot who it was, but they said they call him. They say 5 on your end. Sharita says she's seeing 15 as well. Panda Zero says she see 15 as well. Yeah, that's what I got. 16 now. It's a skit on life after death, and I think it's at the interlude of They Pray, I believe. My Downfall, or what? My Downfall is what I think it's called. But the interlude on there is he gets a phone call and the person is breathing on the phone. He's like, "Hello?" He's like, "Fake?" And then he hang up. The person calls back and they're breathing on the phone. And then they say, we're gonna ill you, MFer. And he's like, word. And he's like, you better watch your effing back. He's like, watch my back. Word. Okay, y'all go listen to that. This feel like this is a call he got, and he went outside with his pew because he thought they were gonna come through and try to. They said it. He was outside. But that just lets us know. That puts us in where he was thinking, like he was already dealing with this paranoia. Can you understand the pressure of having an entire coast on your back? You representing the East Coast. Do you just think about it? Think about how he must have felt going into this business to make music, and the person that brings him into the business is jealous of the friendship that he has with somebody he was already friends with prior to even doing business or meeting this dude that's jealous of the friendship. And now the person that brought him in and that's jealous of the relationship, of the friendship that he has with his friend, has now created a rival. with his friend that he was gonna actually sign. Let's be honest. We gotta bring him up, Big Mel. Big. So he was putting him, and then you got Diddy coming in, finessing his way in there, and mad because he couldn't have Pac, or he didn't have the same relationship with Pac, and now he drives a wedge in between Big and Tupac. Jealousy. But now we just think about it, y'all. These are the things that Big had to live with. We just heard it from the words from his mom. And so he had to live with that. That's sad. That's sad. This has been your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, Mr. Breaking News, reporting from you see? Panda Zero said Diddy's core is insecurity. Exactly, Panda Zero. That is so detrimental to him, and that and one on that, Bessie. I have been your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, signing off from the newsroom. Thank you for spending this special edition with me this evening for hashtag I'm Gonna Say It. Remember, you could be anything in the world. Be somebody. And I love you all to life. Be safe out.